This poem's called Ebb and Flow. Ripple, ripple on the water. Who is that distinctive daughter? Her existence spirals out so far, she reflects the rainbow in each star. She stays in motion to explore and flow, open to experience, not just to know. She shines in light, so casts a shadow, highlighting the depth within the shallow. And seen or not, she is weeping for the partner who is sleeping, one who loves her, yet not the whole, because he thinks he knows her soul. Wrote this on like 3 in the morning on April 8th. Later that night, by like 8 p.m. or so, I had my first grand mal seizure. And I retain awareness and consciousness, pretty much consciousness through the seizure like that. It's quite horrific. But if it wasn't for something like that, I never would have thought to look into certain information, and I wouldn't have found out that I have epilepsy, that I've had epilepsy my whole life, that I have the mostly non-motor seizures. So nobody noticed, and even when they were motor seizures, they were so not noticeable from the outside. But it's been really tough since then. So it's been 5 months now. Don't always have them, thankfully. Do have them quite a bit though. Still, I thought I was writing this basically about me and my husband, but I realized it's not just him, because he wasn't really my partner. It turns out, it wasn't actually a partnership. It was a relationship because we were relating to each other, but not well. But I'm finding now that so many people are trying to relate to me, and they actually try and tell me they are that I should consider them to be my partner. I'm not sure why they keep acting like I want to get married, because I'm only just starting the divorce process, and it turns out to be pretty bad. Yeah, like a narcissistic divorce thing. I'm not sure why they all think that I want to get married, and I'm finding it fascinating that I'm learning about so many other women that are having the exact same problem, specifically on Facebook. I wonder if the other social media is just as bad. But I'm not the only one getting a bunch of really strange, kind of obsessive messages from guys. Turns out they have better, or not all of them, some of them have created like codes of conduct for how people are supposed to message them, or how they'll get blocked if they just keep doing it. And I keep forgetting to figure out how to put that disclaimer up. But I find it fascinating considering the way my life is normally here in California. I don't even actually always get recognized as a female, like makeup, because I wanted to feel nice today. But I frequently don't get even identified as a female. Haven't since I was a child. It's confusing to everyone, and I'm not sure why, because I'm not sure why it matters. But I realize it's that duality or non-duality thing. So I can imagine this being written about any female, really, in relation to anyone that's trying to relate to her. But it goes in and out like the water, the moon. The moon reflects the light of the sun. Maybe the partner is the sun and is trying to be with the moon, but the reflection of the water. It's a very, not exactly sure what I meant, except I know what I meant. It's hard for me to explain it because it fits too many different things. But that's the way my life is in general. Too many things cross over, too many things match up, the dynamics. And it's fascinating to me that I can reread this now, only 5 months later, and hear so many different people in it, not just me, or me in relation to so many other different people. But I can really kind of think about any woman I know, especially the ones I've been finding lately. Um, very, very magical women, very misunderstood, very sought after, very persecuted, very mistreated. Um, but they're so strong. They're just so amazing, so vibrant. So I'm not sure why people try and snuff them out, but I also do know why. It's they're too strong, they're too mystical, and that's what draws people in, I guess. So it's nice to know that I'm not the only one having this problem, but it's not even always a problem. Sometimes it's the most amazing connections ever have come out of nowhere, and that's amazing, right? But some of them are horrifically bad too. And considering how many times I've been raped in my life, it was really distressing to get all these men trying to message me and tell me all these things and like how they want to like show up in my life and be here for me. I'm like, you don't know anything about me. You're saying all these nice compliments, which is great, but you don't even understand how I don't get compliments like that here. So there's just this thing like, so if people are looking at the moon, the reflection of the moon, or the way it lights up or darkens or whatever, it's just think it's beautiful, right? And they try to understand it. They think they understand it. They think because they see it, because they like it, that they know what it is. No, it's just the surface. Just because you like the way something looks doesn't mean you're going to like what's inside. Doesn't mean you're going to like the reasons why they end up looking like they look. You can know you love somebody. That connection can be absolutely real, but love isn't necessarily pure. And even if it is, if there's no desire to actually get to know what it is you're looking at or get to know what it is you think you love, and remember that you need to relate and reconnect all the time. Everything changes. Love changes. But the person or the object that you love changes constantly. The person that loves that one changes constantly too. Nothing ever stays the same. Why would you think that if you love something the way it looks right now, why would you think you'd always love the way it looks? Looks change. It's pointless to fall in love with the look. It's better to fall in love with a feel or a connection, an energy. But if you're not constantly remembering that that energy that you fell in love with is a certain way, and if you think it's distorting, why wouldn't you look at the fact that maybe you're the one distorting it? Or maybe you've become distorted and you're affecting it. It's a reflection. It's an interaction. It's a connection. It goes both ways. If one's distorted, the other distorts, if they are that connected. So if you're projecting onto somebody else that they're abusive all of a sudden and they're like misunderstanding you, if you're so convinced and so hurt that somebody's misunderstanding you, there's probably a decent chance that you're misunderstanding them on some level too. And I'm not saying that like everything will work out just because you try and create it, find that understanding. Sometimes that understanding makes you realize they're not really your partner. You can love something and it cannot be your partner, or you can love something and you can want to be their partner and realize you're not in a state to do that, or they're not in a state to do that with you. And that's not a failure. It's just the way it is. Love doesn't mean anything in and of itself. It is there or it's not, according to your awareness. It's how you interact with what you love. If you truly love it, wouldn't you attempt to interact with it well? And attempt to look at the way you interact with it, not just the way they're interacting with you. It's two ways. You can't just keep getting hurt by the one you love, saying like it's all your fault or why are you doing this to me? Did you know most people don't do things to other people? They do it to themselves, and the people around them are affected, intentionally or not. So if somebody just keeps going off about like, I know I love you, I'm just trying to help. Well, if that person keeps trying to help and they're not watching its impact on the person, and they're not actually listening to the person themselves who needs the help, what if that person wasn't even asking for help? You're projecting onto them. That's not love. That's distortion. So just because you have an energetic connection doesn't mean it's a harmonizing, melody you've got resonating between you. So there's always something to be looked at. There's always something to be checked back in with. And if you don't keep checking back in with yourself, how can you think that what you're doing to the other person is actually going to be a good thing? If you're watching them getting hurt by what you're doing, why not look in, discover where you're coming from? Is your energy even calm to begin with? Everyone keeps saying to me, calm down. I'm like, I am calm. You're the one that's disrupted. Like, no, I'm calm. I'm calm. Like, yeah, really. If you don't look at yourself and you just think the other person is like a mirror, or you think that you're looking at something separate, if you're interacting with something, there's a two-way, at least a two-way connection. People mirror and reflect back and forth, and it's impossible to know which one's distorting. You can assume the other one's distorting, but if they're distorting, there's probably something distorting about you too. It's impossible to say who started it, but if you keep looking inward as you're looking outward, there's a better chance. So, if you're trying to be a partner to someone, especially a woman, and another one of those distinctive daughters, then maybe you should look at yourself also, the way you interact with them. If someone's so magical, male or female, anyone, an animal, a plant, something so magical, suddenly looks in so much distress and looks so distorted and seems harsh or whatever. Did it get that way because they're bad? Or did they get that way because something around them kept attacking them? And was that person or that thing that's attacking them, is it an outside source? Or is it you? It's always good to double check. So, yeah. Welcome to my TED Talk.